west of the Rockies. You're on the air. Hi.
Art, this is Mark at Fallon, Nevada.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I lived in Tucson about 11 years ago. I'd wanted to ask you if you think this might have been an abduction. I was driving down Senderio Road, my old 62 Dodge Dart, in the road at a dip, translucent, I'd say orange, probably 30 feet at the top, 30 feet high, 20 feet at the top. It was an inverted triangle, translucent. Went through the dip. My car died. I lost 17 minutes. I was going to my girlfriend's house at the time. And got to her house, called the Air Force. Nothing was in the air, nothing at all whatsoever. She noticed a little bloody spot in the back of my neck. It's like a little V. And it's now a cute little white scar behind my right ear. Now, I've tried calling other people and talking to this and that and the other thing, and nobody's ever been able to give me an explanation or anything, or if there's ever been an entity even that looked like that anybody had ever experienced.
How do you know that you had 17 missing minutes?
Well, my friend, I had my watch on, and when I looked at the thing, I looked down at my watch, and it was like, okay, I'm late. And the car died, and the last thing I remember was kind of rolling up out of an arroyo, and the next thing I looked back down, it was a wind-up watch. It wasn't electronic. It was a Bulova, and there it was. And
all right, do you have any conscious memories of what went on during those 17 minutes?
Not a thing, my friend. Not a thing.
All right, I would say that there's a very, very good chance that that you were abducted. And the only way you're going to really find out whether or not that's true is to volunteer to go through some sort of hypnotic experiment with somebody. If somebody puts you under, then there's a very good chance you can find out what happened during that 17 minutes if you have the cojones for it. Now, I wonder psychologically, we are, in the world right now, we are experiencing abductions. We are being taken. Now, most people want to believe that if they are here, and I do believe they are here, and they are watching us, and they are abducting us, that they're nothing but little friendly guys. I'm not one of those people. I give equal possibility, absolute equal possibility, to the chance that they are not our friends. Friends, after all, don't pluck you out of an automobile and experiment with you and do things that result in bloody little marks that become scars and then not tell you what happened. So I don't know. This whole abduction thing is worth pursuing. It's interesting, but it's not necessarily, in my opinion, benign. Not at all.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Yes, hi, Bill. This is Grace in Eugene, Oregon.
Yes.
I'd like to let you know that I've been abducted by an alien.
Abducted by an alien?
Yes. And how I know that was I've been having these really bad, horrendous headaches.
Yes. Well, but a lot of people have headaches, right? That doesn't mean they've been created by aliens.
True, but I had an MRI done, and there's 2 growths in my brain.
2 growths in your brain?
Yes, they're like white, what they call bright spots. And there's no explanation why they should be there, but they just are.
You have 2 bright spots, and after they gave you an MRI, they said they probably put it up on the screen, and they said, "Look at these 2 bright spots in your brain.
Right.
They shouldn't be there. They should." Is that what they said? They shouldn't be there, but they are.
Yes.
And what did they say?
They should not be there.
And what did they say they thought they were?
They don't know. And before I went in to have the MRI done, I was on a ship that had a great big bright light on it, like the operation room.
Whoa. You were taken aboard a spacecraft?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Wait a minute. It wasn't a dream.
No.
How do you know you were on board a spacecraft? Might seem like a silly question, but did you just suddenly be there, or what?
I'm not really sure. All I know is that there was some grays. I guess that's what you call them, the ones with the big black eyes. Mm-hmm. 2 notches in the face for the nose, a very small mouth, And
I mean, what were you doing? Were you walking down the street? Were you asleep in bed when this happened?
I was just laying down in bed, yeah.
Laying down in bed. And so you're sure now that you didn't fall asleep and this was some sort of dream. This was real.
I'm positive because I was in a lot of pain.
Well, I understand. You may have a medical malady, but whether or not it's as a result of, implants put on board your head on board this ship, that's another question. Do you have any evidence that this is what happened to you?
The only thing I have as evidence is MRIs for the bright spots are in the brain.
Bright spots. Normally somebody would do an MRI on somebody and find bright spots on the brain, would be tempted to take you to a neurosurgeon and...
That's who did it. It was a neurosurgeon that did this.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So, what do you think's going on? I mean, only you know what's in your head. Are you being told to do things? Is there some communication going on? Are you having some effect from whatever it is that's in your brain?
Just a lot of pain.
A lot of pain?
Yes.
Well, that doesn't sound too good.
No, it's not. It's not fun.
All right. So the next time somebody out there wishes for an abduction, they should remember this lady's story. A lot of people have called up saying, "Oh, I wish I'd be abducted. I wish they'd let them take me." Well, how'd you like to end up with a couple of bright spots in your brain and constant headaches? You might want to be very careful about that one. And actually, I've got Jay on the line. Hello there, Jay.
Hi, Art.
How you doing? Yeah, I hear you fine.
I'm doing okay.
You're in Ohio, huh?
Yeah, I live in Akron.
Yes, sir.
I'm listening to you on WTAM.
What happened to you?
Well, this happened about I think 99, summer 99. I was driving home from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Right.
And I was on Interstate 76, heading westbound.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was visiting friends and just heading home. And at night on the freeway, there's hardly any cars, maybe just a couple rigs driving by. And I come around the corner, I was doing probably about 70 miles an hour.
Were you in a car or a truck?
Yeah, I was in my car. I drove a Nissan.
All right.
And I had just come around the corner, and there was a rig off to the side of the road. And when I drove by him, he was just sitting there. And when I drove by him, he blew his truck horn, which I thought was kind of strange. So I looked back, and I just saw him, just brrr, and he made the sound. And I looked around, and I'm like, oh, this is weird. I wonder what he's doing, And I looked ahead, and all of a sudden in the middle of the road was I just saw the black outline of it. And it looked just like the thing that, I forget his name, that guy that found a UFO in, I think it was Washington, and the alien attacked him.
Dr. Reed.
Yeah, it was shaped like that.
Are you talking about the what he called the obelisk?
Yeah, it was shaped like the obelisk.
So that trucker that blew the horn was really trying to warn you, wasn't he?
I don't know. I have no idea why he was sitting there.
Well, if he was stopped, then I would conclude that he saw whatever it was in the road.
Yeah, but the way he blew his horn, it made me turn around and look at him, and I was like, "What the hell's going on?"
Uh-huh.
And then I looked and I saw it, and it was floating in the middle of the highway.
Just floating.
Just right there in the middle of the highway. My headlights hit it, but what was weird is the light didn't really reflect off of it. It just kind of absorbed it almost, like it wasn't even made of metal. My car came right underneath it, and when it did, top half of my windshield hit it. And I had spun out in the road, and I landed in the median. And when I looked around, it was gone.
It was gone?
Yeah. But the truck was still there. The truck was sitting, I saw his headlights and everything. And I got stuck. And I tried to back out, and I couldn't do it. And I had to get out of my car, and he just left. He started to roll away, and he drove right past me and just kept on going. And I'm sitting there in the middle of the road like, what the hell? But I looked at my windshield, and the only damage to my car was the windshield was cracked.
Yes.
So about 10 minutes later, another car came down the road, and I waved him over. I told him I ran off the road. I didn't tell him about the UFO or anything I hit. And he helped me get my car out of there. And the only other damage to my car was I had ripped a metal shield it's like a heat shield off the top of my exhaust pipe. That was the only other damage to my car besides the crack in my windshield.
Oh, that's odd.
Yeah,
the whole thing is odd. What do you think you hit?
I have no idea, but I've been trying to call you, I don't know, for the past couple months, but now I kind of forgot about calling you, and then you guys were talking about things in the middle of the road and all that stuff. So I decided to, fax blast you to see if you could, get a hold of me or whatever.
Well, I did, and I appreciate your story. I don't even begin to know how to diagnose what happened to you.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. I mean, But
you're sure of one thing. You're sure that whatever it was just hovering there.
It was just hovering right in the middle of the road, and I hit it at about 70 miles an hour. And, I don't even know if I damaged it or whatever. All I remember was this big thunk, and I ducked my head, and next thing I know, I'm off in the ditch. And,
that's incredible.
And I turned around, looking around. I couldn't really see much. I just saw the truck off in the distance. I think it was gone because I got out of my car. I didn't see anything.
He probably didn't want anything to do with any of it.
But I'm standing there looking at him, and he just drives away. He just pulls away, and, it was like one of those, I forget what kind of trucking company it is. I probably shouldn't even mention it.
No, don't, please. But it's not necessarily, it's human nature. I mean, I really think the guy probably had seen this and was stopped looking at it and was trying to warn you.
Unless he hit it, too, or something. I have no idea. It was just weird. It was a weird occasion.
weird Ohio, weird Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
Take care. All right, there you go. For what it's worth.
Wild Card Line, you're on the air with Pamela. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. First of all, I'd like to give glory to God and His Holy Spirit for touching the lives of Christians out there who listen to your show. And also, I have a question for Pamela.
Yes.
What gives these entities, or whatever they are, the right to interfere with people's lives?
Again, interference.
People who are going through their life,
Again, interference.
My husband doesn't think I'm having an affair. But they seem to, they make him think, because of weird, extraordinary circumstances. I didn't always believe it, but
wait a minute.
Well,
wait, everybody, hold it for a second. Hold it. Caller, your husband thinks you're having an affair?
Yeah, and I would not, I would not.
Well, I understand
even
that,
look at another man.
Well, maybe you should play this tape for him then.
What tape?
The one you're making right now.
Right now?
Yeah, on the air.
So why does
you wouldn't lie to Art Bell? He obviously doesn't believe you.
Why does he think
this?
No.
No.
Why?
Extraordinary circumstances in my life, like things happening at a certain time.
Like,
so you think you're having interaction?
That I may be leaving.
Like what?
Do you think you're having interaction?
Stop. Like what? Are
like
you having, and she's asking the right question, are you having an interaction with another being?
I don't know. I have had, dreams, I remember from my childhood, but any interaction that I'm having right now, other than seeing UFOs in the sky.
That doesn't constitute an affair.
No, I don't think it does either. But other than UFOs in the sky, I don't remember anything except for weird events going around, and I can't possibly explain them.
Well, you must have told him something to make him think that.
Oh, no.
Nothing at all?
No.
So he's plucking this right out of the air, thin air.
I guess so.
Well, I guess listen to Leo Biscaglia and Carolyn Mace, and maybe that'll help you a bit. They're really incredibly self-empowering people.
Mm.
Well, I worked with Frank Machino on his book, The Braxton County Monster, cover for the Flatwoods Monster Reveal, happened in 1252. And the kicker is that some people complain. You talk about dogfights between military planes and UFOs. And I had to, we did a lot of looking, and we found loads of instances of such dogfights. And what we also found, to my surprise, believe it or not, was that orders were issued to military pilots to shoot down UFOs if they don't land when instructed to do so. This is in the summer of 52. think about that for a minute.
Oh, I've thought a lot about that.
Now, there's another quote that we found. General Roger Ramey stated that we have scrambled jets after UFOs hundreds of times. He didn't say a few or several.
Hundreds of times.
Hundreds of times. Now, in addition to this, I have on 7 different occasions heard from people quietly, nobody was looking for publicity on this, of situations in which more than one airplane went up after UFOs and fewer came down.
We definitely. Are you telling me that military pilots have been lost?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, in '52 there was an unbelievable number of military aircraft crashes, including, and this one shook me up, there were 3 pilots who'd fought in Korea, where they were being chased by MiGs, you know?
Yes.
Came back. They did over 100 missions over there. Must be pretty good pilots, don't you think?
Excellent.
And they came back and crashed. 3 different ones. There were reports of planes that, quote, disintegrated, whatever that's supposed to mean, and planes that, quote, disappeared.
It means exactly that. Chief, where to begin? Back up a little bit. Where have there been reports of planes disintegrating?
In the United States, eastern part of the country, in the summer of 52, 53.
Disintegrating?
Yeah, I mean, just a little article in the New York Times. It's crazy. And so we followed this up, and we went back to the old books, Kehoe's books, and Wilkins' book, and even Ruppelt's. And it's clear that there were indeed battles between fighters and UFOs. And Frank tells the story in the book, and there's a new edition being put together as we speak. I wrote the foreword and the epilogue to the Braxton County Monster cover-up of the Flatwoods Monster Revealed. It's listed on my website.
With regard to dogfights, is there actual... I don't know, any paper on the radio transmissions that occurred, or what? I mean, how's it documented?
Well, I'll give you one example of a guy who managed to live to tell the tale. This is a guy who's a lawyer now. He's 78. He was a Navy pilot. He was on duty, and the radar people at another base instructed him to, there was a scramble. Dashed to his airplane, took off, got up to 20,000 feet. They had vectored him in. Told him what direction to go, and so forth. He sees this UFO down below, bright light, and then he watches as it comes up to his 20,000 feet altitude, and then it's coming straight at him. He presses the trigger, I don't know whether you pull it or push it, on his guns, and nothing happens. There was a bright light coming from this thing, and I said, that's probably why you're alive, isn't it? Somebody had forgotten the plane wasn't loaded with ammunition. It had been sitting out on the tarmac.
Kidding.
Then he was interrogated for several hours after that, nobody doubting what he was saying, but wanting the details. What direction and how fast did it move, and, all the kind of stuff that...
Do you recall any of that?
Yeah, he spent hours with these guys. And so that one I happened to talk to, and I've talked to others who... One guy was at... Andrews Air Force Base in the middle of that fuss in 52, where 2 pilots went up, one came back, and the guy was just ashen-faced, and all he could say was he went straight up. The other plane never came back, and they put out a story. It must have crashed into the ocean. Too bad.
So only one pilot came back?
Yeah, 2 went up, 1 came back. Now,
and again, the story of the one who didn't, he went straight up?
I think the guy was talking about the UFO went straight up.
Well, what happened to the other guy?
Who knows? We don't know. And now, people may think, hey, this is science fiction. Well, let me point out that in the year 2001, the military had a conference where they had relatives of 166 men who were lost in reconnaissance flights over the Soviet Union, China, and Korea, where nothing had been said in public for 40 years.
Hi. What is your first name? Mary.
Mary.
Okay, Mary. You know what this is all about now. You have had actual physical contact, Mary, with an alien?
Well, many times, but this is something that's very unusual. About 2 months ago, I had an alien actually enter into my body while I was fully awake, 7 o'clock at night, my family around. I mean, my husband saw me. It was bizarre.
When this event occurred, Mary, were you conscious of what was happening to you?
Totally conscious.
Totally conscious.
I was getting ready to watch Dateline, and I had all this energy flowing through my body, and I looked up, and I could see 3 aliens, the Greys, standing there, and they're actually in a beam of light.
Okay.
And they just showed themselves for a second, and about 15, 20 minutes later, I couldn't get up off the chair, and I finally was able to get up, and I felt really weird, and all of a sudden, it felt like there was 2 people inside of me, and I could actually feel them and feel its feelings.
All right. This is going to seem like a rude question, Mary, but
okay.
I've got to ask it. How do you know it wasn't all in your head?
Because you know what, it felt like my body was just overstuffed, and plus I had all of this energy just flowing through my body.
I know, I've got all that. But I mean, how do you know that it was sourced out? How do you know that it really was aliens? Now you say you saw Greys, so again,
if I had not have saw them, had I not seen them, I would have thought maybe it was just some bizarre episode. But I don't know how else to explain it.
Could it have been a bizarre episode accompanied by something in your imagination? Could that be? Or what, was there any way for you to discern that you were fully conscious? Reach down, pinch yourself, whatever. I was walking around. I actually went outside, and I was walking around. I was talking to my husband, but I was also experiencing this. How else do you explain something else being in your body? It's hard to explain. I don't know. What do you think the intent was of what was done to you? Why? Any idea? Guess?
What I understand is that I could tell I'll just call it a he, had never experienced the human physical body before. He seemed somewhat maybe more dimensional. Maybe that's why he just seemed so amazed with petting the dog and petting the cat.
Got it. At the time that he was in you, so to speak, or meshed with you, not only was he detecting you, but you were detecting his feelings as well.
Yeah, and that is how I know that there was somebody inside of me. Not only that, you could physically see. I mean, my husband was looking at me, and I was looking at myself in the mirror. My eyes felt like they were bulging out, and my face just was different.
What did your husband have?
See it.
Yeah, what did he have to say about all of this?
He didn't quite. He believed me. Because I've had other things happen. Before, but he believes me. He really believed me, and there was no doubt about it that something just amazing was happening, and I don't know how else to, what else to say about it. It was a great, unique experience, and I have to say that very, very benevolent, kind.
Okay. That's
thing inside of me.
That's what I wanted. Benevolent and kind. So you felt all of that there wasn't any, I don't know.
No intrusion.
Yeah.
There was none of that. It was like a child touching things and walking for the first time. So it was really a unique experience for me, too.
Well, that's a very interesting description, like a child doing something for the first time. That's what it would be like, too.
He was very worried about scaring my husband and scaring my son. I actually kept turning away from my son because I looked so bizarre at the time.
All right. As with most who have had this kind of experience, apparently, and you said it, it's happened to you before. Maybe not exactly this.
That's the only time that had happened. I've had other contacts with aliens, and I've woken up on ships and things like that. But this is really a unique.
Is there anything
experience.
else? You know, it's an opportunity. An awful lot of people listening. You had real contact. Was there any message or any understanding that you gleaned from these beings in any of your encounters that would be important to pass along to the audience?
Well, a lot of the encounters that I had, I only remember bits and pieces, and I had a lot of anger and hostility. So I'm really kind of shocked that in these last years I've had really great experiences with them. And all I have to say is that they were the Greys, and these ones were really nice. I can't say that for all of them, but.
Do you think the early bad experiences that you had were only bad because you were frightened, or do you think they really were bad, you know, in perspective, looking back?
You hit it right on the head, Art. I think that's what it was. I was so afraid. Actually, what I did was I was so afraid of them, and I was so angry at being abducted all the time that I just said out loud, come to me during the day, and I won't be afraid. You know, if you just do, you scare me at night. And when I said that, I started having these great daytime experiences. So, I don't know what else. That happened. Maybe it'll help other people. Maybe if they do that.
Do you think this is really common, Mary? Do you think a lot of people are having these experiences? Have you met anybody else who is?
Not that kind of an experience. Not where they've come right inside your body. I've never heard of that.
Well, yeah,
but I know,
I haven't
people
either.
have had good experiences.
I've never heard of it either, Mary. But the odds are, now that you have told this story, trust me, I'll bet you a whole bunch of light bulbs went on out there, and there's people trying to dial saying, that happened to me too. Anyway,
I hope they do.
Yeah, and I really appreciate your calling. So there's no overall message that you got, Mary, that people should know about. I mean, are you ready to say, don't worry, they're friendly?
Well, I don't know all of them, so I couldn't honestly say that. I'm happy I met some that were nice. I can't speak for all of them, but the ones I've been meeting lately are very nice. So.
Again.
I got no direct message from him when he was inside of me. He was there to just experience. No big
earth straighten out or else kind of message, right?
No. No.
Okay, Mary. Thank you for calling.
First time caller line. John is in Sacramento on Coast to Coast AM. John?
Yes, Ian.
Open lines, buddy. Where are you going to take us?
Well, I have an abduction story for you.
Okay. Of yours?
Yes.
Okay.
First-hand experience. I was approximately 7, I believe, and I remember waking up in this room. It was cold, dark, pretty scary, and there was a bright light right above my head. And as I was getting my bearings and trying to figure out what was going on, one of these aliens made themselves aware. I sensed their presence before I seen them. It was very strange, very strange. And then I've heard your callers talk about before how there's a empathic feeling or something to that effect. And, you know, I could read their thoughts, and they could read mine. It was very strange. It was quite spooky as a child. And then I kind of fell asleep and dozed off again. And, well, when I came to the next day, I kind of brushed it off as just a dream or whatever. And, you know, I told my parents about it. And, well, I was in the bath that night, and I was taking my shower, and I was washing myself up. I looked down, and I noticed a faint scar just on my right lower quadrant, abdomen area.
Okay.
And thought nothing of it, Sometime later, approximately, 15 years later, had the horriblest pain. Went to the doctor, told me I had appendicitis. I had to do emergency surgery right then. So in the midst of this surgery, went through, everything came out fine. The doctor came in the recovery room with a small bag, and there was these it was the smallest little thing I've ever seen in my life. And he said, "Where did this come from?" And I said, "Sir, I don't know what that is." And he said, "Well, it's way beyond anything we can even recognize." I said, "Huh." Well, the doctor said, "Well, we're going to send it to lab research and, all that stuff." And I said, "Okay, whatever." So 2 days later, 2 men come walking in my hospital room wearing nothing but black shades, black hair. They were for some 3-letter agency, God only knows who. And they started asking me questions. Very detailed questions about what I've been doing, who I've been around, blah, 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 blah. And they told me that I was to never speak of this incident again. And they threatened actual bodily harm on me and my family if we repeated this incident.
So what's going to happen to you as a result of this phone call?
I don't care anymore. I think it's time the American public knows what's going on.
All right. Well, that's something we hit all the time on this show, and we'll just add your story onto the list of other people with that testimony. Thank you, John, for taking the time. Very interesting.
A lot of mothers who they were pregnant. There were 2 babies in there, and then all of a sudden they have a nighttime experience. They know they've been abducted, and there isn't 2 babies the next time they go. And I've had them from all during the pregnancy up to 2 hours before the delivery. I've had there be 2 heartbeats in 2 hours. They're in the hospital, and all of a sudden the room fills with light, and there's there were twins all the way up. They said, "Yeah, okay, we're seeing the babies." And there was one case 2 hours before the room filled with light, and they only delivered 1 baby.
And what did the mother always think happened to the other baby?
That it was taken by ETs.
Okay. Very interesting. Well, and did the doctors or the nurses have anything to say about that? I mean, did they did they say, "What are you talking about, lady? There never was a twin"? Or did they say, "Yeah, what happened to that other baby"? I mean, don't they have a medical record of heartbeats and...
Yes.
And okay.
They can't explain it. They I guess we were wrong.
Well,
yes, it was bad sonography, but, that go back to the poor sonographers that get it so bad. Well, I guess they were just a mistake. Oh, well, be thankful you only have 1. And just blow them off.
What about vanishing triplet syndrome?
Oh, yes, that happens with them, too. I was at one UFO conference, and there were 6 sets of twins and 3 sets of triplets at one UFO conference. That they were represented there. Some of them both the twins were there, and some of them they knew there was another one. They knew there was a third one, and some of them there was just one twin, or they thought they were twins, and it was amazing. It's so common.
Is vanishing triplet syndrome different than vanishing twin? I mean, do you see, for example, people who have been who may have been a surviving triplet, or I forget if you call it singleton or single twin, but of triplets, do they have the same feelings that they had that a surviving twin would have, but double? Do they get symptoms in duplicate, if you will, about feeling like there should be 2 people there, not just another one.
I've never heard of anybody having that, but they do have the same kind of thing because there's somebody missing. There's memory in the womb. We know that now. With Thomas Verney's work and David Chamberlain, we know that there's memory in the womb. And so if there was somebody else in there, they're going to remember.
Right.
Oftentimes. It may be very subconsciously, but now we are triggering so many people on this planet. You should see what's happening on the E-group. I mean, they're joining the E-group like crazy.
Really? Well, we'll give the numbers here coming up in just a second, and we'll start hearing from them directly, and they can join the conversation for the rest of the show on vanishing twin syndrome, and they can tell us their story, or if they have questions coming up for Carol Dennis. But then you mentioned the ET conferences and some of the other things you've been involved with. Are there other aspects of birth that you have studied along the way, along with that has come as a result of your investigation into VTS?
Well, the whole abduction scenario,
right? You mentioned
the missing fetus thing. That's very common. And so I looked at that, but not really. This is just, it's been
well,
so
I was curious
consuming.
where this would go, because it seems like one thing in this conversation, even like one thing is connected to another thing is connected to another thing. So right. I didn't know that it'd take it down the Star Children path.
Oh, yes, I see what you're getting at. Yes, it does. It definitely does. There's definitely
tell me about that then. Tell me about that.
It seems that so often they do have those the same characteristics of what some people we call them the Millennium Children in our book. That we wrote, but before the word indigo really came about, or children of the blue ray, or star children, or crystal children, or rainbow children, or all these different things.
Yeah, rainbow. I'd forgotten rainbow children. Yeah, that was one term that got used for a while. Right.
Yeah, and I think that's really sad that these labels are being put on these children, because there's so many of them that are experiencing this that I think we're just trying to figure it out, and so we're trying to label them and name them, but I think that's not such a good idea. But not all of the Millennium Children that I researched were twins. However, many of them were. They walk and talk early or very late. Very often they have near-death experiences. They want to be vegetarians because they can hear the meat scream, one child told me. Their senses are very hyper. Very often they have allergies. They have super strength. One little boy was able to lift a car off from himself at 2 years old with super strength. He ran over him, and he was a twin. Was supposed to have been a twin. Very often they see auras and ghosts and fairies and imaginary friends and orbs. The orbs are another fascinating thing. There's some pictures up on my website of orbs that I called in one night.
Well, I don't know about the orbs. I mean, this is something that's common to indigo children, or Millennium Children, as you call it?
Yeah, because they're seen beyond the normal visible light spectrum. And I think that this is part of what happens to the single twins, is they keeps them in a paranormal state. They seem to be very psychic. Very, very often these people are very intuitive. And they just, they just instinctively know that there's something different about them, and they have ability to heal. They have pre-birth memories. They have out-of-body experiences. They remember past lives. They're super intelligent. A lot of times they receive information from the twins. I did a research project, which is exactly how I found out about the twins. I was doing a research project with a hypnotherapist, and it was about people who have contact with extraterrestrials that become geniuses. And what we found out was that almost all of these people that we interviewed, there was about 75 of them in the original project, that they were almost all twins, were supposed to have been twins or have a lot of twins in their family.